Last week, Governor Polis announced camping in state parks can resume, but you gotta reserve a campsite before you head out. As we get closer to Memorial Day weekend, our 9 Health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli, gives us tips on how we can enjoy the warm weather safely. Good morning, Dr. Kohli. It's great that camping is back. What are some tips to stay safe while enjoying camping?
Good morning, Natasha. Yes, I really like the idea of getting out of the house and getting outdoors this Memorial Day. Firstly, because the weather is so great, but secondly, because the transmission of the virus is actually significantly lower in open outdoor spaces than it is indoors. So camping is a great thing to do. So some tips I would advise. Firstly, book in advance and go somewhere close to your house so that you can avoid stopping along the way. You want to make sure you fill up your car with all the supplies, including full tank of gas, having lots and lots of food, having water, having sanitizers, also taking trash bags because a lot of the trash pickup may be closed, disinfectant sprays, first aid kits, and your prescription medications. And then I would strongly recommend camping in an isolated area. And there's a couple of advantages of that. The first is that you can actually camp safely without your masks on if it's just your immediate family. The second is that other people are a lot less likely to walk by. And you know, we have the tendency when people walk by and we're camping to chit-chat with them. But in this situation, it's probably better to just put your mask on and wave to them from the distance rather than making conversation.
Okay, what if you're like me and you don't camp? What are some suggestions?
That's me as well. And there are some other things you can do as well. So the first is to actually have a socially distanced picnic. And I can't emphasize the socially distanced part enough. So, you know, it's a great idea to go out for a picnic, enjoy the outdoors. But if you pull up to your picnic grounds and there's lots and lots of people around, try to find somewhere else to go. The second is to go on a bike ride or hiking in an isolated area. And the reason I say isolated, because then you can get away without wearing your masks, because I know it's challenging to exercise with those masks on. And then finally, easy option is to just have a backyard barbecue because there's no additional risk to you leaving the house at that point. We've been talking a lot about swimming as well, and although the CDC says there's no immediate risk from the water in the swimming pools, I don't think it's a good idea to go swimming at this time until we have more information.
Yeah, what are some other general tips for activities this weekend?
Yeah, so anytime we leave our house, we are exposing ourselves to just a little more risk. So a few things to keep in mind when we're getting out. So first is hand washing. We've talked a lot about, you know, using water and soap versus hand sanitizer. And when we're out, it's usually easier to use sanitizer. But the problem is if your hands are visibly soiled, the sanitizer does not work to inactivate the virus. So if you're camping, for example, and your hands get dirty, you're really going to need some water to wash it. So take some extra water to wash your hands with you. The second is about public restrooms. Now, that's a high-risk area when you're out of the house. And there's a study out of China that came out that said that when you pull the flush, you can actually aerosolize potentially fecal viral particles into the air up to 6 feet. So you really want to try to avoid congregating in public bathrooms, avoid going into a stall after somebody else, and really put down barrier protection, toilet paper on the seat if you're going to sit down, and make sure you really sanitize your hands afterwards. And then finally, the third area of risk is gas stations, which is, you know, anytime you stop and touch the gas pump or go into the convenience store, there's a possibility of not just a risk of infection from someone else, but touching a contaminated surface. So overall, my advice would be that certainly it's safer at home, but as we shift into this new model where this is going to be our life, we have to think about how we can leave our house safely and do it in ways that are something we can maintain over time.
Absolutely. Those are all great tips and, you know, a lot of alternatives to things we can do this weekend. Dr. Kohli, thank you so much.